Hello everybody, Valentin Todorow from Elire here. Today we're going to look at the new monitoring and evaluation functions within the Oracle Fusion AI Agent Studio. Here we're on the new 25D landing page, and as you can see here at the bottom we have the monitoring and evaluation section. The intent for monitoring and evaluation is to really give insights not only when your agents are running in a production environment to be able to monitor them. That's kind of the first part of it is the monitoring. So that you see there's two tabs at the top, monitoring and evaluation. And monitoring is more, you can leverage it, of course, when you're in a non-prod environment to test it, but really in the real world, you can understand some of the patterns of how people are using the system. You can measure, you can get error rates if you wanted to, and really be able to kind of, see how the behavior is on an ongoing basis. So you'll be able to actually see the number of tokens used at a high level, the accuracy of all of your agents combined. So you have a nice header region that kind of aggregates everything over a 3-month or 1-day period. And you can see the actual error rates change and the metrics, be them, the latency for 99% of your users, how many sessions were counted, and so forth, as you change the time span of that. Below that, within the monitoring, you'll actually have each of the agents, so the agent teams that you have designed, because people do interact with the agent team, not with the worker agent themselves. You'll have all of those. And within that, when you do go to analyze it, you'll actually have the number of runs and number of turns that happened within that single agent. And then it will give you a number of tokens. This one doesn't have any. Let's actually choose one that does have a little more. Let's go a little broader scope. Look at one with more fetch enrollment opportunity, and here you'll see all of the sessions that a user has interacted with, ones that completed successfully, ones that came with an error. All of those will be listed here, and then you have the ability, if this was an error, to actually analyze why that one came to an error. So now you can use a new feature of tracing to see the overall elapsed time and process, and each of the either tools, topics, agent workers that were called, and exactly what happened in a nice granular Gantt chart kind of view. You can see exactly the input values, prompts, data that was sent to the LLM. You can see the subsequent input from one to another. If it's sequential, you can actually see it, or if it's a supervisor calling various worker agents, you'll be able to look at all of those and analyze them. So again, a great framework to be able to gauge how these things are working, be able to track the performance, provide insights on the behavior, either in a production environment and here with a non-production environment, but you can kind of gauge that as people are interacting with the system. So that's the monitoring side of it. There's also the evaluation side. Again, there's two tabs here at the top. When we go to the evaluation side, it has a similar construct. You have the filter at the top, but here, these are like test sets and cases that you can actually apply against the agent themselves. So this is great before you deploy them and kind of getting them ready for production. This allows you to check, the response correctiveness, the response time, the token usage, and kind of do they meet the quality standards you've provided for those agents, okay? After you update these models, you can also compare them, because you can run the same evaluation set, and we'll do that in a subsequent video. You can compare them and see if the changes that you made to the agent, to the prompts within that agent, to the agent teams, actually give you a better or worse response, right? So you're able to gauge that to give you more confidence that when you do deploy this in a production environment, that yes, we've thoroughly tested these agents. We're not just spinning them up and letting them fly without the guardrails and the testing. The same way we test these applications, before we go live, when we're implementing or upgrading them, we want to make sure that they are correct, that they're completing and not using too many tokens, especially if you're leveraging external LLMs, or you have spun up your own dedicated clusters with an OCI, that you are not using too many tokens. If this thing uses several million tokens and each user is using 7 million tokens because the agent is not efficient, then obviously that would result in lots of charges, right? Which might not be necessary if you design it properly. So you're able to actually look at the evaluation runs. You're able to look at the results for those runs. You're able to look at the actual responses based on scenarios. Again, here we can actually input our own questions and scenarios. You can create new ones. You can trace the same way we traced in the monitor. In the evaluation, we can trace how exactly the worker agent was called, each of the LLM calls, tool calls, wherever it is, we can actually check for that, okay? Correctness, as I mentioned, right here, it gives you a score for everything, which is amazing. In subsequent videos, we'll show you how to actually spin these up, how you can create additional evaluations. There is an evaluation manager right here at the top as well, where you can have evaluation sets, and each of these sets will actually have different runs within it, and then you'll be able to actually compare them as well, which we'll show you. But a great tool to give you a new glimpse within your agents and making sure that it does follow the design patterns. It does follow the speed, because we want these things to be as quick as possible with relevant information, and making sure that it does not hallucinate, doesn't send something back with bias, and that it's grounded within the documentation and the process that you've prescribed. Okay. More to come on monitoring and evaluation. Hopefully you found this video useful, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.